excited to be back at home. Obviously, Hope Coliseum, Big 12 opener tomorrow night against another quality opponent. So I'm excited about that. And with that, just fire away.
What stands out? What do you like about Cincinnati defensively?
Their length around the basket. Is a big one. Baba Miller and 52 just allows them to pressure the ball and kind of funnel them into shot blocking, which allows them to guard the three, at a pretty high clip. They have one of the best 3-point defenses in the country, and a lot of that is kind of a byproduct of their size and versatility. And obviously, their guards are good defensively, but it really is that combination of length and athleticism around the rim that makes it difficult.
Which team, outside in, inside out, which seems to work better against them when you watch tape?
You got to be able to move the ball. That's can be challenging because they're not going to let you move it, but you got to try to get the ball side to side, get some reversals, get paint touches, and then ultimately you got to make good rim decisions when you get into the paint. You don't want to. It's like that fine line of challenging shot blockers to create some foul trouble, but at the same time, you go in there and, like I always tell our guards, if you go in there and fall down or get your shot blocked, you're igniting their transition offense with their good in transition as well.
Any update on Brennan?
Yeah, he's still in the concussion protocol. He's progressing nicely. And, really is kind of like a step-by-step. He hasn't had any setbacks. He's been able to kind of meet his checkpoints. And so at this point, it's just questionable would be the best way to list him.
Coach, you mentioned challenging at the rim with a lineup that's shorter at a lot of positions. I know you don't want to give that up, though. So getting that balance, do you review and say, hey, here are ways that you can get a shot off? Do you use a guy like Chance, who seems pretty accomplished at doing that? What's the method of making improvements there?
Which part specifically?
Getting shots off when you're challenging in the lane.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's your decision making. If you can turn the corner like Chance was able to do a couple times in the Iowa State game, and bend the corner and get this proper spacing, then you can challenge them at the rim. It's one of those things. I think if you see them in front of you, that's where you probably need to come to jump stops, and you got to have good off-ball movement and make quick decisions, and then you can reattack. And again, if you can get them kind of moving side to side a little bit instead of just letting them, camp around the rim and use their strengths. But again, it's not easy to do.
Was your first shot defense as good as you thought when you went back and watched it?
It was. Yeah, it was. In particular, that reverting back to that it was really that 7-minute stretch, that 6-minute stretch to end the first half that I thought, hurt us in that game. And yeah, we went back and watched it. We did. We got the misses that we needed. Just didn't have the physicality and had some balls kind of rattle in and around our hands, and you got to be able to finish possessions again when you're playing. In the case of the Iowa State game, as efficient of an offense as they are, you don't want to give them second cracks at it.
How is Cincinnati different with Jizzle since he's come back in the lineup?
Gives them another dynamic playmaker that can get into the paint, that can make late clock shots, and just gives them some provided experience. Big 12 experience, played a lot of games, and it gives them another primary ball handler, playmaker that can make plays for others and or make shots for himself.
What do you expect to see them do with Cincinnati Harris as far as defensively goes?
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
What do you expect them to do with Harris as far as his defense goes? Who might they put him on?
Yeah, I mean they've obviously Sincere's a great defender as we know, and he was an all Big 12 defender here last year, and they've used him both to guard the ball, and then at times they've chose to have him guard two guards or players that aren't initiating the offense. So I could see them, kind of going one or two ways. They could obviously put him on honor and say, hey, this is your job to stop him, or they could put him on the ball where he's up there hawking your point guards and making it difficult to enter your offense. So they've really used them both ways.
Obviously, your roster, the bulk of it or all of it, kind of had their first Big 12 experience there the other day. Having gone through, having had that experience now, is there value to that for them as a whole?
I think anytime, again, when you have a new group, and pretty much every experience is going to be a new experience until you do it, And so that was our first true road game. Obviously, your first Big 12 game, and then Tuesday's your first home Big 12 game. But I do think it's a mature group, and for the most part, even in that environment, I thought we handled the environment. It wasn't necessarily the environment that got us. I think it was more Jefferson and Milos, is what got us, and our inability to execute what you're supposed to be doing. But I think, again, the more times you get to do something together, the more times you get to be in those type of environments, those type of situations, you should be improving, and you should learn and grow from every new situation.
You've got two teams that are averaging or giving up around mid-60s, low 60s. What are the keys? Is it more about who's a better defensive team, or who can get more offense against better defense?
Yeah, it's a good question, and we've talked about it before, in particular in basketball, because it's not football. Your defense isn't on the field. They get a stop, they run off. Here comes Aaron Rodgers, mess like that one. Run out on the field, and so ultimately, a good, efficient offense is going to help your defense, and vice versa. If you're stopping people or turning people over, that's going to help your offense. Where it starts, I still think it probably has to start on the defensive end a little bit, because if you're getting stops, you can get out in transition, you can get flow, the ball tends to move a little bit better. If you're always taking the ball out of the net, then you're going to be playing against a set court, half court defense, which in our league, you're going to be playing against some of the best defenses in the country. So, and then you got to be good in the margins. You got to find ways to steal a couple baskets, whether it's a second chance point, baseline out of bounds, sideline out of bounds, a free throw block out, a hustle play. Like, a lot of these games come down to making those small plays.
Is your defense giving you enough offense? Are you transitioning enough to get the points, or is there more that could be out there?
I think there's more because, like we talked about before, like, there's certainly time periods in these games where it is. The challenge for us and challenge for most teams when you're playing against really good teams is how long can you do that? How repetitive can you be? That's where we've had the biggest issue. Whether it's an individual breakdown, a collective breakdown, and just that level of consistency needed to maintain over the course of 40 minutes, defensively primarily, where you're at least giving yourself an opportunity to get shots up.
Rob, this is kind of weird, but I think like 4 or 5 teams you play in Big 12 played Houston before you, which is a pretty good defensive team. I know you want to play good defense like that, but is it hard to watch a team play Houston and struggle and be like, oh man, they're not doing very well offensively? And I would think no matter who you play after Houston, you're probably going to be relieved as an offense. No offense to your defense.
Yeah,
but
none taken.
Right?
None taken. I think what, to answer your question, Houston's style is different than our style defensively. And so the challenges that they present are going to be different than some of the challenges I hope we present. They're very aggressive in their ball screen coverages. They put 2 on the ball. They trap the post no matter what. They have a very distinct way that they play. So you're watching that game, but you're also maybe watching it in some areas where you feel like maybe there's a little something that you can do that could replicate what they do. But also in your scouting, you're going to kind of find games and teams that maybe play a little more similar to the way that you play, and that probably gives you a better barometer of how you're going to be attacked.
And then Chance was shared with us that he's basically left-handed. He's like ambidextrous, he can do some different things. I don't know if you knew that about him, but I'm sure you watch him and he does love to go left, and he's a right-handed guy too. I don't know, is that a skill you can develop with the guy as you get older? Is that something you looked at with him and said, boy, this guy's versatile, he can help us on the bounce in a bunch of different ways, just because he has that additional ability?
Yeah, and he's not I would say like super unique in that way. Maybe because he's such a driver and he still likes the ball in his left hand. A lot of times, like, guards ironically like the ball in their left hand to shoot the ball. You know, like they rhythm into it that way. So you'll see like even some guards that they like the ball in their left hand. Chance really likes the ball there, and you didn't take long to see it when you were kind of scouting him or watching it. Not that he's up here like giving out secrets to people, but yeah, no, it is unique to have somebody that, again, does a lot of things with one hand but shoots with the other.
Coach, something completely off the subject of the game, but something you'll be running into down the road with the guy that Baylor just signed, that BYU has a guy who played other schools as well, not just those two. But, it's starting to create headlines now in the game.
Yeah.
Just your thoughts on, just playing against a guy who was a pro.
Yeah. It is a little way away before we play Baylor or BYU for that matter. So I hasn't used a lot of my bandwidth to like think about it, or like, again, I'll let the guys that have so much kind of equity built up in the game, Coach Calipari and Coach Izzo, and kind of let them be the statesmen of college basketball. And I think my opinion would be that I think if people are going to do what's best for their program, and if it's within the rules, which clearly this was and is, then it's kind of up to Coach Drew or anyone else that whatever they feel like is best for their program, they would do, and whatever we feel like is best for our program, we're going to do. And it was within the rules, and until those rules change, I think if you're not trying to figure out a way to give yourself the best chance within the rules of what you're doing, then you're probably not doing a good job on your end. So I haven't like thought a lot about it. I don't really have a strong opinion about it, other than at some point, some rules that are the rules and stay the rules, I think, is what most coaches would ask for. Just like some level of like, these are going to be the rules. This is what you can and what you can't do. Be proactive in those things. Maybe not always reacting to something like this happening, and then now everybody wants to scurry and backtrack and try to change the rules to where it can't happen again. And just tell us what the rules are, and we'll do our best, the best we can to be the best version of ourselves within those rules.
You go back to, sorry, pardon me. You go back to last April. I mean, you essentially had 13 open spots to fill.
Yeah.
Did you look at that angle at all? Did you
not
approach it, or
not someone that had been drafted? We looked at just about every other angle you could imagine, but that was one that we didn't quite, and I think, what opened the market for some of that is the amount of European professionals that people started bringing, and then you start asking the questions of like, okay, well, how can a high level European player come here, but someone that was drafted or plays in the G League, how can they not? And so I think that's what started all that. But we're not specifically at that, but I mean every other angle, of course, you're looking at.
Well, something on the timelines, and this is not necessarily about Harris, but you did mention him. But when you came in, even guys who were in the portal, the coaching change are looking out for themselves. They want to be sure. Did you initiate conversations, or even like in a general way? Like, do you talk to those guys and say, hey, we might be a match. You want to think about coming back?
Yeah.
But we don't want to move again. Just
Yes, I did, and talked to a good majority of those guys. I did talk to Sincere, talked to Hansberry, talked to JP. You know, they were all incredibly complimentary of this place and really enjoy their time, you know, here in Morgantown. And, you know, again, timelines and all that stuff. I mean, ultimately they all made decisions that they felt like were going to be best in their interest, but obviously had a lot of respect for what those guys did here last year. And again, they were all, you know, very complimentary of West Virginia and Morgantown and the fan base, and enjoyed their time here. And again, just didn't quite work out in retaining any of them, but did talk to those guys.
Anything else? Coach, thank you.
All right, thank y'all.